This lecture will focus on African women in African cultural and hip hop cultural spaces. Women artists must often navigate African cultures as well as hip hop culture as they create diverse representations of African women. Women also tend to employ the hip hop tradition of braggadocio to force a space for themselves in hip hop communities. And so we're going to look at how women operate in both African cultural environments as well as hip hop cultural environments, as well as their use of braggadocio. So, looking at African cultural environments, African women often have to navigate gendered social structures. So, those social structures often dictate what a woman is supposed to do, how she's supposed to behave, how she's supposed to carry herself. And those often are used to, control women's movements and to dictate to women how they should behave and how they should act within the society. And so oftentimes artists' ambitions can sometimes conflict with traditional gender roles and what's expected of them. And this can impact their career paths in the sense that women who want to be hip hop artists may be discouraged from doing so because hip hop is seen as a very masculine culture, a very masculine space, and is something that women should not participate in. And so women are often discouraged from becoming hip hop artists or encouraged to, to take on other genres of music. And so we often find that women who are engaged in hip hop often have to deal with disruptions and delays in production based on the sexism they experience, based on expectations that they experience, and, some of the record companies not wanting to invest in a female artist. And so oftentimes this affects their performances, their ability to get performances, as well as career opportunities. Again, because of certain social expectations that say women, for example, shouldn't be in the club. So if you have a gig where you're performing in a nightclub, there are kind of social taboos around certain women being out at that time of night. So that can impact the performances that women take or are expected to take. Then you also have the sexism within the culture, which kind of bars women from having an equal access to social capital and economic resources. So that social capital and those resources help ultimately artists to succeed in their career. It helps them have access to the resources that are needed. In many cases, women are denied access to those resources. In terms of hip hop, women have to contend with hip hop's masculine culture, which attempts to define the role women are allowed to play within hip hop. So women are either seen as being honorable and deserving respect, or unhonorable and deserving no respect. And so you often have, women who are honorable or seen as being honorable are expected to play a certain role, and that's typically a background role, to be kind of to play second to male artists, or to not enter hip hop at all, to kind of do more R&B songs. And so women who are expressive in hip hop and who are, presenting aggressive lyrics are often seen as not deserving respect, especially those women who dare to present their sexuality in a way that is threatening or perceived to be threatening. Now, in terms of braggadocio, it's often very controversial. Braggadocio in hip hop in general has been criticized for celebrating material possessions, many of which are out of the reach of most of the listeners. And so, artists celebrating certain cars or certain clothing or jewelry, oftentimes their listeners are not able to have access to those resources. And so for that reason, braggadocio can be confrontational, can be controversial. So also its ties to the glorification of violence is also been criticized. So an artist describing their destruction of their opponents, their physical strength in repelling violent attacks, is often been criticized for glorifying violence and for encouraging violence, and even, going further, encouraging black on black violence. There are also the criticism that braggadocio, where an artist extols sexual dominance and control, is seen to be undermining female empowerment and feminist values. So for women who in their songs celebrate their sexual dominance and control, many may see that as being something that undermines female empowerment. And there's the idea that braggadocio among women artists can promote the exploitation of other women, especially when the braggadocio consists of dissing other female artists. Now, on the other hand, braggadocio has had a long history within hip hop culture. It is there to often establish an artist's credibility as well as their authenticity as a serious artist. So, very few hip hop artists do not have a song in their catalog that has elements of braggadocio. Braggadocio for women is one way in which they can claim their right to have a position next to their male counterparts, an equal position. One of the areas in which that is done, that claiming of credibility, is within the cipher. So a group of artists getting together and either freestyling or taking turns saying rap verses is often, the cipher is often seen as rap's proving ground. That's where you prove yourself among your fellow MCs. And so a couple excerpts from women artists. The first is from Eyirap, who is an artist from Ghana, where she says, "I am the dragon from Volta, not even the lion come closer." So in that line, she's referencing her origins in the Volta region of Ghana, which is where the Ewe live, and basically says that, she's tough and that, no one else can kind of compete with her. The second excerpt is from Gigi Lamayne, who is from South Africa, in which she says, "I've been running this race, ripping eyes wide open, my rhymes luring heads like a Zulu love potion." So again, in this song, she's bragging about her skills. She again references, like Eyirap references her ethnic identity, her Zulu identity, in referencing the song. But the most important part is she talks about how alluring her rhymes are, how strong her rhymes are. And so braggadocio, again, though controversial, and while those controversies need to be explored, braggadocio also plays a very significant role in establishing an artist's credibility and place within hip-hop culture. So at this point, I want to play a clip of a hip-hop artist, Tifa, out of Tanzania. She's going to be rapping in Swahili, but one of the things to notice is she's rapping a rhyme that is talking about her skills as an artist, bragging about her skills, and she's doing this at a hip-hop cipher in Dar es Salaam, and the cipher is a predominantly male space. I think you only see one other woman who is, kind of in this cipher space. So it's a predominantly male environment, and just to kind of get a visual of women performing in these types of environments. Yo, namuta hii kuyagoza harakati na yawino kuyasema yasamani yakati zena ubishani wamzinimiki kwa na imani yegasali chokwane kifungo hiki asome vipi na klasi kesha kimbia sauti yake mama viki busara zishapotea iliwe haki tuwa yako na wiliwe kikazo tokosa maki paka chao mondovuliwe yashona kike ni harama nini zao paka